Thank you. Next person is William Summerford.
Yes, ma'am, right here. I have kind of a potpourri of questions. Some of you answered already, and some that I'd like a little bit more input on. First is, how do you identify the projects? I get the feeling a lot of times that in the past, the city has identified projects and it's just kind of crammed down our throats without public feedback on what's being done. Secondly, the cost and method of funding, the same thing. The method has been, well, slam it on the property owners, let them pay for it, or raise the golf fees, or do some other sort of thing. That kind of funding is critical. The way the packages are presented is critical, in my opinion. It's the problem that Kids Inc. had. It was just kind of crammed on the homeowners when there are other methods of funding a project, such as Kids Inc. Third is, like a stadium, the existing stadium we have in Potter County generally does very well if it breaks even. How could you move one downtown that costs many times more and expect it to make money? I mean, these are the kind of things that need to be sold and forth. When the revenues don't add up, then who pays? Thank you.
I'm just going to speak to the public input piece and then give it to Joe for the other two questions. This is a process that's been going on for a long, long time. And most recently, 4 to 5 years ago, a process was started by the city to do a strategic plan. And there were a whole series, just like we're doing now, a whole series of public meetings to get feedback from the public on what you wanted to see downtown. And so the result of those public meetings was a strategic plan for downtown. Part of the recommendation, among others, was that Downtown Amarillo Inc. be formed, that we look at public-private partnerships, a whole host of recommendations. So we then began another series of public meetings starting last September. September 29th of last year was the first one we had on the land use plan to get feedback, and we've had multitude. We had a public meeting on the ballpark. We're having public meetings now. We had neighborhood meetings last fall. And there's information on the website and on the city side. So I think in terms of the public feedback, we are working very hard to do that, but it is a process, and we don't know all the answers, and we're going through that public process to help the community find those answers.
Thank you. You asked about the funding strategy. That's something that have been working on, continue to work on. The funding strategy is part of the final recommendations. We anticipate, once we have additional costs and working with the operators, you look at the revenue streams, you're going to look at what can be funded privately. If it can be funded and justified privately, it needs to be done privately. City shouldn't put money if you justify a rate of return. It just doesn't make sense. In the case of hotels, on that experience, no full-service hotels right now are getting built without public participation, period. Now, once they have a track record of 3 to 5 years, they're getting refinanced. But right now, it requires a public participation on a full-service hotel, not limited service, full-service hotel. So what I would tell you on the funding strategy is we are looking at the different vehicles. There are vehicles that we've identified from that exist now, as I've mentioned on the hot tax. There are things that we're working on with the city and legislature to look at how we might, for example, Round Rock used in the development of Dell Diamond, the citywide hotel occupancy tax as a funding source. That's an opportunity. There's a variety of funding sources out there that are other than property taxes. I don't know what that combination is now because I don't know what the total project is, and we haven't had enough information to make the determination. You raised the other question on the ballpark. The stadium, current stadium, is nearly 60 years old. It was good for its day, and it has, as is the Herring, a great deal of emotional attachment to the community. That doesn't mean it's viable right now. One of the difficulties you have in minor league ballparks is, and I'm going to agree with you, if all you do is baseball, don't do this. Why would you? Why would you spend that kind of money just to do baseball? You have to look at the uses that are beyond baseball. The present at Current County Stadium isn't there. I believe, Commissioner, there was a study done some time ago on the ability to retrofit and actually make changes to it. It was quite substantial. So
So just think about it, the building you want, I mean, the new stadium you want is five to six times more than the money that we're going to put or trying to put in the stadium, the old stadium. Our stadium, the old one right now, is estimated at $5 million
and
for the future.
And I appreciate that, and I would argue that it would still not accomplish the things to be able to be a multi-purpose venue, is what we're discussing. And what I would suggest to you is that the program that needs to come back needs to demonstrate the types of events that are beyond baseball. If you look at whether it's Round Rock or Sugar Land or any of the other common minor league ballparks that are done now, they do more than baseball. They have events. Sometimes they'll bring in tournaments, which are still baseball, but it's not minor league baseball. Sometimes they'll have corporate events. They'll have philanthropic events. They'll bring in concerts. There are some concerts, I know the question was brought up earlier about the Civic Center. There's some concerts that will only go outdoors. And those are the type of things that you would try to attack. The next question then comes, well, we have a limited season because of the weather. There are places back east that also have ballparks that are multi-purpose, and some of them do creative things there. One of them that I know of actually floods the area and turns it into an ice skating rink because of their weather. Do I have the program for you today? No. That's because we're going through a thoughtful process of looking at the best operator, looking at the features that could be incorporated, and coming back to you with a plan. I understand your point of view that things have been crammed down people's throats. I know that things have been public, and that may be a perception, and I would appreciate that we're reaching out to make sure that we change that perception on this process. And we're going to continue to hold public meetings and public discussions, and would invite folks to continue to participate. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it did. I did notice that the property rates went down, property values went up. So
Yes.
the amount that the property owner wrote a check for probably remained about constant. Is that true?
It remained about constant, but also there was significant growth in the area. We went from 1 million to 5 million square feet of retail. We added hundreds of thousands of square feet of Class A office space. There was growth that was not just in property values, but new things coming that we attracted, that we invested in addition to the projects, the Catalyst project was helped generate.
Mark Meisenberg, and pardon me if I've mangled anybody's name.
No, you're fine. I appreciate it. Mine's more of a comment than a question, just because, if I'm different with Joe on the private and public aspect of it, there's been a need to decorate it. But, it all sounds wonderful, and it sounds like the process has pretty much all been set up. I just hope this isn't like Obamacare, we're going to get it whether we want it or not. I just think, if this was such a great idea, somebody would be stepping forward, and they would put their own money up if it was about making a dollar. This isn't about us getting taxed, put our money up, then have it lose money. And a prime example of that would be, Ross Rogers Golf Course, where we had a 5-0 vote to go ahead and do the golf course. We spent almost $6 million of taxpayer monies for the golf course, and last year it lost $1 million. So I hope this isn't an example of, we're going to spend these millions of dollars of taxpayer money to do this, and then it turns out losing money, even with all the studies. And, I try not to be bitter over this, but I'm just tired of hearing, it's quality of life. It's for the kids to suck another tax dollar out of my pocket. And that's it. Thank you.
I appreciate your sentiments. I think if we come back to the premise that there has to be a benefit that exceeds the cost of the city, we're on the same page. Does that mean that no city money goes into it? I didn't say that. Does it mean that there's a benefit that exceeds it? Yes. Does it mean that property values are going to go up long term? I sure hope so. I hope that people find this area as a place they want to live, that people clamor to live in this area. That's what I'd like to see. That's the sign of success. The other thing I would tell you, when I got to Sugar Land, I was single in 1999. And I remember there was a planner that told me Sugar Land has an ordinance against fun.
Fun.
Ordinance against fun. Why, as a single person, would you move and take a job here? There's nothing to do. And fortunately, we repealed the ordinance against fun. We set things in place that provided things for people to do of all ages, not just the adults, but the kids. We provided a community where you could workshop, play, live, grow, invest, learn, and that's the goal of every community. I can't imagine someone saying, I don't want my community to do that. The question is, how do we get there and balance that? And I don't want it to be Obamacare either.